Hey, this is Brian Wright. I am the coach, and this is Coach's Corner. And today I've got a guest. You don't just have to tolerate me. I am bringing in a true OG of what we call MMA today. That when he started, there were so many different names to it. We really didn't know what to exactly call it. But I've got Dennis Kang. Dennis, we struggled to get our schedules in line to do this, but I'm so happy to have you on, and we can talk about things I haven't talked about for a while. And I feel like we can school some of these newer fans to what we both refer to via text as the Wild West days. So please just let everybody know who you are.
Sure. Thanks, man. Yeah, my name is Dennis Kang. I'm in Vancouver, Canada. I was a professional fighter from 1998 till around. I had my last fight in 2012. I fought all over the world. I fought in UFC. I fought in Pride. I fought in K1. I fought in ADCC or grappled in ADCC. Yeah, man, I did it for a long time. This was my life. It's still my life. I'm retired from competitive fighting now. I'm just a full-time coach in Vancouver, BC, Canada, trying to take care of the next generation of fighters and give back to the sport a little bit. And that's it. Happy to be here, man.
So, if I remember correctly, you have 55 fights,
Uh,
pro
it's like
fights.
51, I think. Yeah, 52.
Okay, and
Yeah.
you had a very
Maybe 50.
long unbeaten streak, if I remember. It
It
was
did, yeah. It was like low 20s, 22, 23. Yeah.
22 fights.
Yeah, low 20s. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild. And
I gotta say though, there was a couple of those that were in one night, like a couple tournaments.
well,
Because
that's
you did that. That was the thing back then.
that
8-man tournament, 3 fights, right? 4-man tournaments, 2 fights in one night.
people don't understand how big the tournaments were back in that era. Like, I mean,
How hardcore it is, and how fun it is as a fan to watch it because it tells a story. You know,
ex-
you get to watch, you get to witness somebody's journey from the first fight. You see what happens. They have a hard first round. They almost get knocked out, come back and win. Second round they do okay. Third win, you know what I mean? Like it's different than single fights. It's a different feel. And it's also really hard on the other side, on the flip side, for the athletes participating in the tournament because, this is completely unheard of nowadays. To win your fight, to go back to the dressing room and stay warm for about 20, 30, but not too warm. No, sorry, you want to stay warm, but you got to relax a little bit. So you gotta chill because you got to recover because you got another fight coming up in 40 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a very fine line between relaxing but still staying warm so that you can fight again. You know, you might have some injuries. Should you eat? Should you drink? Do you have to go to the bathroom? Do you watch the next guy you might be fighting? Does your coach do that? You know, there's a lot going into it, and it's hard,
and
but
with
it's
a
fun.
tournament too, the mentality. I try and explain to guys that I train that we were obsessed about cardio and endurance
Yes.
mentally and physically.
Yes.
Because it wasn't 3 rounds against one person that we got to focus on for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It was a whole different mentality.
You're right. You're right. It was all about. I spent so long looking for that magic formula of unbeatable cardio. You never get tired, you know, because nobody knew really any different back then. You know, it's just how it was. I think like the first guys to really be in great shape were wrestlers usually. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Um,
But they also had a longer standing tradition of understanding that
you're
tournament
right.
format,
You're
understanding
right.
the grind.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. They had
It,
that mentality. Yeah.
and the thing too is I remember even watching you, and I felt like you had a very different style, and I think the style that you had is something that holds up till today. And it's funny because I believe your background is more grappling, but your striking was so evolved for MMA at the time. You had very clean boxing, you had good kickboxing, you looked like a K1 level kickboxer, and
Thank
you
you.
also had phenomenal jujitsu. And that was not really the case because back then too, it was you were a striker or you were a grappler, you know, you
Right.
were a wrestler, you were a jits guy. It was it was very fractured, and you had more of a complete style. How did that come about? How do you, I don't know, how do you get into this? Where did you start? Where did you start pulling the pieces together? Was it you who created kind of what your style was, or was it ATT in the early days that built you? Like, how did Dennis Kang become that guy that goes on that streak?
No, honestly, it evolved naturally. I think I just wanted to be the best I could be at everything, and I just happened. Some guys just didn't put the effort in. I really wanted to put the effort in, and to be fair, I did do martial arts off and on my whole life. I started with judo when I was 9. And then I did taekwondo when I was around 10 or 11, wrestling in high school, a little bit of karate here and there. So I did have even though none of it was serious, it did kind of, introduce me to martial arts and give me somewhat of a background. Especially back then, it was enough to have like a small understanding of what each style, like striking or grappling, kind of needed. And just you're right, I started with jiu-jitsu, with Brazilian jiu-jitsu with Marcus Suarez in Vancouver. And I remember just training the first time I sparred, just getting my ass whooped. But, um, I knew my right hand, for some reason, every time people would hold pads for me, they would be like, whoa, that's really hard. You're lifting me off the ground. So somehow I always knew I had a big right hand, and it gave me confidence to keep training because I knew I had a chance to win. I didn't just need to take someone down all the time. And like if you look at my record, there was a point in the where I kind of go on like 3 or 4 wins in a row at the very beginning, like my first, second, third fight. And then somewhere around there, I start to lose. I put together a win here and then 2 losses there. And then I think there's one point where I have more losses than wins. And at that's the time where I almost quit, and I really had to dig deep to to really, to really ask myself if I wanted to do this
Well,
and
why
take
did
it
you
to
want
that
to
next.
do it, especially back in this time where it was, I mean, you couldn't have a more alternative job than
Yeah.
being an NHB/MMA fighter. So when you run into that level of difficulty where you're looking at your record, what's making you say, "Hey, let me make another run at this"? And is there changes that you had to make? Is that where ATT comes involved? Like what
No, no, no.
what gets you through that?
ATT came later. ATT came later. This
Okay.
is like, you know what? I tell this story a lot. It boils down to insecurities that I had as a child because I was always a natural athlete that just picked up any sport very quickly, but I never stuck with it. I knew I could be good. Like, I don't know how good you can get, championship level as a child, but I knew I could excel at any sport, but I would always get bored or just kind of quit when it was a little bit hard. And it always haunted me, especially with the wrestling I also did rugby in high school. And I always felt like I let my coaches, my team down because I was good. They relied on me, but I don't know. I think I was too young mentally to kind of take the hard work of what it takes to be a high level athlete. And when I first saw the UFC, I thought this is my second chance. You know what I mean? I really could redeem myself because I always loved the art of fighting. I was never an aggressive kid. I was never someone who picked fights, but even if there was a fight going on, I was there watching. I was there I wanted to see what was going on. I love martial arts movies. I just somehow always gravitated towards the art and the skill of fighting. Whether it's a street fight, whether it's a kung fu match, whether it's kickboxing, anything to do with combatives just always attracted me. And when I saw MMA or no holds barred or for the first time, UFC 2 was my first time. I thought that this was for me. This is what I wanted to do, you know?
I think what you just said is a message that resonates. I literally had WK Nationals last weekend, and I was sitting there with a kid and I was having a conversation with him. I actually posted a video about it this morning. It's really funny that you're speaking this way about it because I said to him when I was wrapping his hands, I said, you're a person that there's a lot of fits and starts in life. You start a lot of things and you don't finish them. I said,
Right.
but you're here now. You actually made it through camp. We're wrapping your hands, and whoever you thought you were before, you're no longer that person because you're actually going to get in there and you're going to do it. And your story about the hard time in your career and the things that you had to overcome, I think this is a common human thing, and it's one of the reasons why I love combat sports is because it is such a hard thing to do, but it's something that you can really change your perception of yourself, and you can really find some strength, and you can really change how you live off of how you go about this. There's also the other pitfall. If you do it wrong and you do give into it, it could be a monumental failure. But
Right.
the opportunity to really excel is there. And I love hearing that you went through this period and, you're recognizing that there was something that you were carrying and you were able to fight through it. And then you go on and you have this career. But if you gave into it and you stayed, let's say, a quitter with air quotes, look at all the things you wouldn't have done. We wouldn't be sitting here talking today.
Exactly.
So wild.
Yeah.
So you're in Canada. How do you end up at ATT? I don't like people look at ATT now and they're like, oh, American top team. And they think of
Right.
this big, massive team, but I don't think they understand how it started. Were you one of the original members of the squad?
I was I guess the second originals. So
Okay.
because my coach Marcus Suarez is from the Carlson Gracie team, so he was already friends with guys like Conan Silveira, Ricardo Liborio, Marcelo Silveira, who were the founders who started American Top Team along with Dan Lambert. So it was easy for me to kind of to make the transition over there. I also started dating a girl that was on American Top Team, Shelby Walker. So it's just everything just kind of tied together
So you moved
perfectly at the time.
from Canada to Florida.
From Vancouver, yes, yeah,
So
yeah.
what's the
That
culture
was fun.
shock for
Fun.
you? You were
It was a little bit of a culture shock because it's like Florida. Florida is like you said. You live in New Jersey. Florida is like the East Coast of the United States. Really, there's tons of people from Jersey, from New York. You know what I mean?
My
It's
father lives in Florida. My dad moved from Jersey. He retired. No, he didn't retire. My
there
dad
you go.
actually moved to
Yeah.
Florida 20 something years ago. Yeah, my dad lives in Orlando.
No,
So
but
I
I love
understand
South
the
Florida.
exodus.
Yeah, a lot of people from up there, and a lot of cool like Italian delis, Jewish delis. I loved all that, because growing up in Vancouver, you just see that on TV. You just see that in movies. We're not exposed to that at all. The closest we get is going to California.
Yeah.
California is very different than Florida. You know,
Completely different.
yeah.
I hate the humidity. I'm not a huge fan of
I mean,
Florida
I
because
see. Yeah, I like it. I don't like the Vegas heat, the dry heat. I hate
see,
that.
I love the Vegas heat. Like for me, if I'm going to move anywhere from out of New Jersey, if I leave New Jersey, I'm going to Vegas. I like the dry heat. I can't handle the humidity, man. Especially getting older. I don't know.
Yeah, most
Humidity
people
hits
say
me
the same. To
different.
be fair, most people don't like the humidity. Yeah.
Yeah, it also
But Florida is extremely humid. Like Florida, by law, you gotta have AC in most places, or else it becomes a hazard. Like the paint starts to peel off the wall. It's Florida's one big swamp, right? The
yeah.
whole state is one swamp. So
I was in Abu Dhabi, I don't know, within the last 6 months for the UFC there with one of my guys, and that made Florida actually look cool. It was like 105
oh,
degrees with
really?
100%
But that's
humidity.
a
I wanted to
desert. That's
die.
dry, right?
No, Abu Dhabi, it was the most humid place I've ever been.
No way. What?
I've never
I would have never
felt
thought that.
heat and humidity like that. It was wild.
Oh,
Saudi Arabia was different. Saudi Arabia was dry. That was like
what were you there for? If you don't mind me asking.
I went to Saudi Arabia for the UFC also. So
Oh,
in the last year, I did Saudi Arabia, Azerbaijan, and Abu Dhabi with athletes.
oh man, that's awesome. So
Yeah,
were you there
man.
coaching someone that was fighting there?
Yeah, I had one of my guys was fighting. I had Hamdi Abdulhab, an Egyptian fighter that I was training, a heavyweight. He fought on all three of those cards over the last year.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. You think about you could have been stuck in Vancouver. I could have been stuck in New Jersey, but this sport gives you the opportunity to see the world. I mean, I've
Big time. Oh my
competed
God.
and coached in 23 countries at this point.
Yeah, I've never counted, but I've been all over, everywhere because of through fighting. It's amazing.
It's really
And then you
it's
meet all kinds of different people through it, obviously, also. Right?
how much of a rock star did you feel like when you're fighting in Japan? Because you went in Pride when Pride was Pride. Like
Yeah.
that was the Super Bowl of mixed martial arts at the time.
Yeah.
K1 and Pride during that war, the Dynamite years, there was nothing like that.
No, it was bigger than the UFC. People don't realize,
What was it,
right?
100,000 people at the Tokyo Dome for New
Yeah,
Year's?
the New Year's Eve show were like above 50,000. Over 50,000.
It was
I've heard 80. I've heard 100. It's hard to pinpoint exactly, but they were big. They were big.
What did
Yeah.
that feel like? You're
It was insane. Like the Japanese fans are very different. They're a lot more respectful. Um, Not that fans here are disrespectful, but I mean they're a little bit more subtle in the way they approach you. For example, as you would get to the hotel, fans would be waiting there with like, let's say, a card for you to sign, like a playing card or a picture maybe, or a magazine that you were in. But they would always give you like a gift in
yes,
exchange. Nothing expensive, like a little Japanese mug. I got a lot of mugs, a set of chopsticks, cool little thing. It was just kind. They
very
they
respectful.
understood politeness. Yeah, very respectful, very polite. Right. It was nice to see that.
What was so you're in that time, the crazy one. This was the thing I used to tell people was
Yeah.
I was more known overseas than I was at home. Like, you go over there and they follow it so heavily when you would do something. And
Right.
I mean, I wasn't fighting in Pride or anything like that. I was fighting in more of the Kyokushin style stuff and doing
Oh,
kickboxing
cool.
bouts.
Right on.
But people knew me, which was wild. Like
Yeah.
it was. I remember I'm in Osaka and people are coming up to me and trying to take pictures with me, and I was like, nobody knows who the hell I am at home, but people know me on this side of the
Yeah.
world. So it's this weird thing where now with MMA being as big as it is with the UFC and whatnot. I mean, if you're famous in the UFC, you're famous everywhere. Where you were in a time where how famous were you at home? Like when you came home,
Not that famous. So I would get recognized for sure. Some people would know me, especially like in my own gym or in other gyms. But it was definitely a contrast with Japan and with Korea, right? Because I remember I'm half Korean, and I went before I went to Pride. I won some tournaments in Korea. That's how I got to Pride, is because they brought me in as a Korean. You know what
yes,
I mean? They said from Korea, Dennis Kang,
yes.
and
That was the classic one. They would always do that. Like if I fought there, they probably wouldn't say I was American. They said I was Irish or something, even though I've
yeah,
never been
wherever
to
you're
Ireland.
born, wherever your parents are from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was a huge contrast, and Korea I was even more well known by the people because I did a lot of endorsements outside of fighting. I did commercials, I did movies, I did all kinds of things. So Japan was one thing, Korea was a whole other thing. Um, yeah,
And people
and
don't
so
understand.
sorry, go ahead.
The
Yeah,
Asian market is so different too. I mean,
it is. Yeah,
China, Japan, Korea, three totally different worlds. Just because
right.
you're big in Korea doesn't mean you're going to be necessarily big in Japan and vice versa. And then China, like, it's so funny. They kind of don't care about MMA even. They have their own cultural stuff
China.
they care about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You're right. And China's so big also. There's gonna be like to be well known for everybody, I think it's gonna have to be massive. Like you could have something that's well known in China, but it's not well known. It's well known. It seems like it's well known to a lot of people, but it's well known to its niche group. But its niche group within the whole big picture of China, and it's like a drop in the bucket. You know what I mean? Because China is just the perspective is different. It's so much bigger, China.
yeah, it's a completely different culture. They communicate different. They consume content different. The whole thing is just so
Oh, it's
different.
it's the future. It's Blade Runner over there.
I know. It's
Cyberpunk.
so
Yeah,
wild.
insane.
Uh,
Yeah.
so you have this fan base there. You're training at ATT. What was ATT like in the beginning? That's one thing where it's this mega team now, but in the beginning when it was, building, what was that like?
It was still definitely one of the more professional and organized teams, but it was more jujitsu based. I would say now it's more wrestling based, as it should be. Most places are now, but back then it was more jujitsu based because there was it was called American Top Team, but most of it was Brazilians. And I
Yeah.
was lucky. I got along great with Brazilians. I mean, my coach is Brazilian. I speak Portuguese almost fluently, so it was easy for me to kind of mesh with the team. But yeah, that would be the main difference. Mostly a lot of Brazilian fighters, still some Americans, obviously, and some Europeans, but mostly Brazilians. A lot of jujitsu stuff, and still more professional than most teams because we had the chance to bring in, like, we were funded by Dan Lambert. God bless him. This guy supported the team and made it and built an amazing thing with the American Top Team, especially back then when the sport was still in its infancy, right? But we had the luck to have all these different coaches brought in, like Muhammad Ali, um, Andre Banke, Howard Davis Jr. He's passed away now, but he was his son is with ATT now, Daya. But yeah, we were lucky to have all that under one roof because in that time people were still training in different gyms. They will go to a boxing gym for one thing, Muay Thai gym across town to get Muay Thai, and then do jujitsu somewhere else. It was very different. You remember what it was like, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was very hard to find a spot that you can do everything
yeah,
under one roof, and I mean, it was even harder to find a place where you could get all those skill sets where everybody would work together without it being a free for all.
right.
Nobody got along.
Any players that would take MMA seriously, or you got to remember, a lot of the martial arts or boxing or wrestling, they were intimidated by MMA. Remember, like they thought they either didn't take it seriously for real and didn't respect it, or they thought that MMA was going to take over their sport, which
And
it kind of did. But
it did.
yeah,
It
I
did, but
remember being in a boxing gym in like 2001, bringing in a videotape of Rings Japan. I was showing Maurice Smith getting armbarred by Renzo Gracie to the coach. He saw it. He's like, he sees Maurice Smith get armbarred. He goes, "Oh my god, that's so brutal. This will be banned in a year." You know.
my boxing
Uh,
coach was an old school boxing guy. His father actually won a bronze medal in like the 1920 something Olympics. They were like a hardcore boxing family. And he used to always say with MMA, he was like, this is dirty fighting. This is not real fighting. This should be banned. It's dirty. And I'm like, more people die in boxing than MMA. He goes, no, no way, no way. This is
yeah,
criminal behavior. I'm like, it's kind of criminal that we stand in front of each other with big gloves and punch each other in the head repeatedly.
right.
But
You get standing eight counts to get beat down again. You
oh
know.
my God. Yeah, it's I get a lot of that. I get a lot of people that are boxing fans that they're like, "Oh, MMA it's too brutal." I'm like, "MMA is superficially way more brutal, but boxing in terms of what it does to your brain and your body, your organs is
You're right.
statistically much worse." It goes from boxing to kickboxing. The more things you can do, the less specific damage accumulates. So, I think MMA now do you what do you think about MMA today versus, let's say, 20 years ago, in terms of the damage that people are taking, the styles in which they are fighting? Do you think the Wild West days, as wild as they were they maybe a little bit safer because the guys were so skilled in individual arts? I feel like I'm leading you with this conversation, but with
No,
this question, but
I don't think they were safer. Oh, sorry, no, hold on. Wait, no. I think it was rougher back then, in my opinion, especially with some rules because we didn't have. Now there's so much more. I mean, some places didn't even have blood tests. You know what I mean? I remember the days where you could bring your own MMA gloves. You know what I mean? Because they were well, because you had to because they weren't
I know.
so widely available like today, right? And
Yeah,
then the only thing you did was backstage. You would check out your opponent's gloves. You would check out your gloves, and that was cool, right?
people
So,
people
but still,
literally do not understand what
oh,
unregulated fighting is and
yeah.
the dangers of it. I remember being at an unregulated NHB fight in North Jersey. It's probably 1999 or maybe like 99 2000, and it was in a ring, and the ring collapsed in the middle of the
That
fight.
happened. That happened to me. Listen, my first fight was in the summer of '98. It was in a warehouse. The location was kept secret. To get the location, you had to page someone. They would call
Page.
you back and say, "Are you a cop?" No. Okay, this and this address at this time. See you there. You know what I mean? And I have a video of it. It was crazy. It was insane. The police kept walking in. The promoter kept barging into our dressing room, telling us, "Okay, the cops ask you, we're filming a movie." Like,
Oh
you
my
know?
God.
Yeah, it was insane. It was insane. My first two fights were like that.
So
Yeah.
how do you want to do that?
Sorry, why? I
Yeah,
loved
like
it.
how what
I love martial arts movies. I love blood sport. I loved kickboxer. I loved Lionheart. That's what I was living. I loved playing Street Fighter 2. To me, that was the greatest thing in the world. In high school, my favorite class was PE, was gym class. To me, this was like doing gym class every day. I hated school. I hated English class. I hated every single academic except gym class. And to me, this was living my dream.
But
I was almost like,
you
sorry,
speak a bunch of languages,
I
and
do. I
you're
do.
you're
Yeah.
you're very culturally proficient. It's not like, so school was just something you didn't enjoy,
I
but it
just
wasn't
didn't
something
like
you were
it.
necessarily bad at.
No, no, exactly. No, 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 no. I could have been good. In fact, I was good at school because I grew up in France, and the school system in the 80s was a little bit more uh just more strict. So when I came to
Yeah.
Canada, I had a bit of an easier time, and then I started slacking off because it was so easy. Also, my mom was a teacher, so she kind of raised us kind of strict with schooling. But once we got to Canada, my brothers and I started to slack a little because it was just it was just easier.
I don't think people understand that without unified rules, you literally went from fight to fight not knowing what the rules were going to be.
Yeah, that's right. And
Elbows,
listen,
no
my fight,
elbows,
yeah,
closed
I
hands,
would.
open hands, gloves, no
That's
gloves,
right. Knees and
headbutts.
elbows on the ground together. I remember having a fight where I had the guy in side mount. His head was sandwiched between my elbow and my knee, and I just kept going back and forth. In Montreal, and one fight in Hawaii like that when I fought in Super Brawl,
Oh my
sandwiched
God,
his head
Super
between my
Brawl.
elbow.
That's like, you just blew my mind. I just had
Yeah.
like a whole bunch of memories came back. I
Yeah.
haven't thought of
No,
that
I fought.
name
I
in
fought in the
forever.
tournament. Right, I won 2 fights in one night. It was
Jesus.
insane. Yeah,
What's the most fights you had to do in one day?
3. But the 3, they were quick fights. It was in Korea. The hardest, the Super Brawl was pretty hard but the Super Brawl was only 3 3-minute rounds. I fought Brandon Seguin. Remember Brandon Seguin from
Yeah.
Minnesota? Yeah. And then I fought Kaipo Kalama. And then I was supposed to fight Joe Dirksen, but I was too injured from the first 2 fights. But the hardest tournament was the Pride Finals, where I fought 2 15-minute fights in one night.
Yeah, because you
That
had
was
10
insane.
minute first round, 5
Yeah,
minute second round.
yeah. And they both went to a decision. And I had a torn bicep.
You
Yeah,
tore your
I tore my
bicep in your
bicep in
first
the
match, right?
first match. Yeah, first match. Yeah.
What was that like, having, like, did you go in the back and you're like, oh shit, my arm?
Yeah.
And then you realize what happened,
Yeah.
and then you're like,
Yeah.
I'm
Well, I
still going
tore
to
it.
go out?
I fought Gono. I threw a right hook to the body, and to me, it just felt like I sprained it right then. And I'm like, oh, I punched him a little too hard. I better slow down. And then the fight ended, and as I'm walking back to the locker room, I guess the adrenaline started to wear off, and I started to feel it kind of twitch a little bit. And then I knew there was something wrong. Right? There was something. Yeah. I have a video actually. It's on my Instagram, where I'm walking back immediately after the Gono fight where I tore my bicep, and I'm trying to tell my team around me, but the cameras are on me, so I'm trying to make it a little low key. It's funny.
Did you tear it high or low? You tear it by the elbow or in the
I tore
shoulder?
the long head, so I have a hole in it right now because I
Uh,
never had it surgically attached. The long head at the top. Yeah.
oh my
But and you know
God.
what's funny? A couple years later, I tore the left one, and this one I had to have it surgically reattached. This one completely tore off the bone.
And that's a bad recovery. That's a long
Yeah, yeah, it
recovery.
was a couple months. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was definitely, but I mean, I recovered fully. But yeah,
So when you're coaching now, do you have your own school? You work for somebody? How's that? How's that?
so I'm the head coach at a gym called Pinnacle MMA in
Okay.
Richmond, which is like a suburb of Vancouver. And yeah, we got a team of fighters. We're one of the few gyms in Vancouver that have a dedicated, structured fighter program. So we have like organized classes, along with public classes. Obviously, I'm trying to run it the way it was run at American Top Team and at TriStar when I was there. So yeah, I got a solid group of guys. That's it.
when when you're dealing with guys today and you're
Yeah,
telling them about the things that you did and how it was, do they look at you like you're crazy?
a little bit. I find myself repeating a lot of the same stories sometimes. But no, I got stories for days. Sometimes I got to hold myself back because I'm always talking about something that happened back in
And
the day, which was,
I I I feel you on that. When you've been into it, I mean, I've been running my gym for 28 years now. I opened up my gym when I was 24, and I was fighting while I was running it. And when you've been around the world this much, you come up with some things happen that you can share. But I always find that today with the way things are, it's so organized. Kids, oh my God, that was the old man in me. I was just about to say the kids today, but
Yeah. Well,
but
your inch.
but guys today have access to information and
Right
footage
away.
like we never had.
Yeah. They can train properly right away. Like they have a ready-made blueprint right away. Nobody had that, but I used to read fighter like Tito Ortiz interviews, hoping that the interviewer would ask him what his training routine was like, so I could learn something. You know?
I don't think
Like,
people understand how hard it was to get the VHS tapes and the
yeah,
DVDs and all the things we had to
instructionals.
do to
Yeah.
try and get footage. When I went to Japan, I bought a DVD player that would play their format so that I could then start
Oh,
getting DVDs to watch their stuff.
nice,
Because I was
nice.
just I had to consume content so that I was
Of
continuing to
course,
learn because they were
you have to
way
learn.
ahead of us at a particular
Yeah,
point. The whole world was fighting in Japan. It wasn't like it is today where everything's in America and everything's on
sure.
YouTube. I mean, all the things I spent thousands of dollars on trying to get all these VHS tapes and stuff, they're all for free on YouTube now. I laugh. But
No,
people don't
no.
understand when you have your phone and you can literally see the entire history of the sport at any given
Yeah.
second, there's so much available. We were, like you said, I mean, you're not even looking at it. You're hoping that an interviewer would ask a question that would give you an insight that maybe
Yeah,
could inform your training.
yeah, that's exactly it. And now with YouTube and with BJJ fanatics, they can watch it anytime,
And they can reach
instant
out
info.
directly and
Yeah,
get conversations started. It's such a different world with all this information. Sometimes I think it's too much because I think a lot of times with a young guy in particular, you've got to keep the skill set kind of like tight and they've really got to invest themselves into it. There's just so many answers available for them that it can get confusing. And that's
right.
why it's important that they have good leadership, and
Yeah,
somebody like yourself with the experience, because to have the varied experience that you have the ability to say things that they're going to trust, hopefully.
right,
You're
right.
you're an actual authority. You're not trying to figure it out. You're someone that's been there and done that,
Well,
which is
like I tell
amazing.
them, I'm coming from where you're going, so you better
I love
listen.
that. You should
I've
make
already
that.
seen where you're going.
You should make a T-shirt, man. You got to make
Yeah,
that. That's a phrase. I love that. That's
yeah.
great. I yeah. I'm gonna use that one.
Do it, do it.
With the thing with young guys today and the path that they have, it's so clear and it's so specific. Who helped you figure out how to navigate this, how to get involved, and then how to progress, how to get your name value up, how to get your money value up? And I mean, I'm not going to ask you the specifics on the money, but the money that you made is probably not comparable to what guys are making today.
Well, I mean, it was a lot of trial and error. Like I didn't even know what a manager was or that I needed one at first. I didn't know anything like that. I would just take pretty much any fight or try to get fights. Um, so it was just, yeah, just through trial and error. When I started to do a lot of stuff in Korea, then I was managed by the Korean organization that I was fighting for, Spirit MC. They were great guys. So I learned a lot of sports marketing through them, just from watching them. Um, but yeah, no, it was a lot of trial and error. Like I had no idea what being a professional athlete meant. I thought it was just training. But when it came down to talk about contracts or things like that, that's a whole other thing. So yeah, no, it was hard for sure.
So today, by having this all figured out, the path is much more of a straight line from where you are to where you want to go. And
It
yours was
is.
just a zigzag all over the place. One of
Yeah,
the things I find interesting too is the fact that um, it was leaned into your Korean heritage, and that became a little bit of a superpower for your career
right.
because coming from Canada to the United States, for some reason we don't bring a lot of like thunder with us to different markets, but you get a country behind you and
Right.
that does make you more marketable. Like when you're
Yeah.
an American, okay, fine, everybody expects us to be big and bold, and Canadian connected to the North American thing, it's different. But when you're in Asia and then they can say, "Oh, you're Korean, you're South Korean," that does become a marketable thing, and then you get a bit of thunder behind you that opens up doors that you might not necessarily get.
Yeah. No, no, you're right. And they really, because the way what happened was, so my father's Korean, my mom is French, and when I first went to fight in Korea in 2004, I had not seen my father in about probably 14, 15 years, right? It's just the way it happened. My parents split, but the Koreans were really into that, and they really played up the drama angle, like kid comes home to find his father, blah blah blah. And yeah, that worked with me. They love that, and I don't want to say it was an overnight flip into like stardom, but it was almost, because it really happened very fast. All of a sudden, they keep telling me that my name is one of the most searched on the Korean search engines. I'm getting all these deals with commercials and with getting sponsorship with Everlast Korea and things like that. So
Yeah, that's right. You used to always rock the Everlast shorts.
yeah,
You
yeah.
were one of
It
the
was
only
Everlast
guys.
Korea, but they were a big company. It was a company called Spris, and they had bought
Oh my
the
God, I
the
remember all
they
this
were like
now.
brand management company, and they bought Everlast amongst others. But yeah, and they sponsored me. It was really cool. They made some nice gear. Yeah,
And you were really perfect for that market because you were big. You were a big muscular guy. You had a strong style. You were everything that the Asian market wants to push out there. They want to have somebody on their side that could take on these foreign fighters,
right.
and you really represented that for them. I remember that very clearly.
Yeah, and back then the sport, like the way the sport was for us in the 90s, that's the way it was in Korea in 2003, 4, 5, 6 when I first started going. So, I really had like an advanced head start on on the other Korean fighters, right? So to them, they felt like they got a ready-made fighter right away, and they got to be seen, with legitimacy in the MMA scene, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Nowadays, the Korean fighters are as good as anybody, world class. You know what I mean? But back then, it was not the case. Korean MMA was very, very primitive still.
What was your toughest fight? What do you look back at and you're like you're most proud of?
Um, there's a couple. I mean, the last fight in the Pride tournament was ridiculous. I think that's probably the closest that I came to death, because it was the second fight in one night when I fought Kazuya Mizaki, and I had that torn bicep. My shoulder started to dislocate as I bobbed up and down, started to just nudge out of place, and I was just so fatigued and tired that when the fight was over, I went to the bathroom to go take a piss, and my piss was brown. I
Wow.
had what's called kidney rhabdomyolysis or
Yeah, you
something.
had rhabdo.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
Rhabdometriosis.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't believe I'm like, what the hell is going on? It was weird to see that.
And
Yeah.
that's hard to that
That
really takes
yeah,
its
that
toll
weight
on you
class
too.
in Japan and Pride was 182, 83 kilos. So it's not 186, 185. You know what I mean? It's 83 kilos. That's
And you're a big guy.
182.6.
Like those
Yeah,
couple
for that
pounds
weight
killed
class, I
you.
was big. I used to be kind of a big middleweight, not anymore. Nowadays, I'm a small middleweight. Like when I first got to UFC, honestly, my first fight in UFC when I fought Alan Belcher is when I realized, like, oh my God, this guy's big.
He was
I,
gigantic.
he was big, yeah. But even all the guys I fought in UFC, my second fight, even though I won, the guy was huge. Professor X, Xavier,
Yeah.
the guy he was like 6'3". Even Michael Bisping was fairly big, taller than me. I was 5'11". I think he was 6.
Was
Right?
Michael Bisping your last fight in the UFC?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, he was the last fight.
Yeah, that the in the Asian market, the weight cutting is not as much of a science. In
No,
the Western market, these guys really know how to do it.
huge. Yeah, huge. Even in the European market, they didn't know how to do it that
No,
much.
not
It
at all.
was purely a
They
North
still not the
American
best.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really wrestling culture that in the US
you're
that
right.
really
Yeah,
mastered it. We have
yeah,
we had the best information for weight cutting. Um,
true,
and a culture that kind of demanded it. So
true.
it was definitely different. So
Sorry, go ahead.
when did you end up in the UFC? What years are you there?
2009. Yeah.
How did you feel about your experience with the company?
UFC, you know what? By the time I got to UFC, I was starting to approach the end of my career. So, you know,
Did you
couple
know
things.
that? Did you feel that? Did you feel it was
Well,
kind of
well,
coming
I
towards the end?
felt it, but I didn't realize it. It was
Okay.
not I didn't know what it was. Thinking back on it now, super obvious. You know what I mean? Like my prime physical years were 2004, 5, 6, especially is when I was at my quickest, sharpest reflexes. Body was just, everything was going well. 2007, still pretty good. 8, 9 started to go a little, just get a little, I would get a little heavier in between. Just, things start to add up. Anyways, when I got to UFC, yeah, it was 2009. I was coming off of 2 wins. I felt like my first fight with my first day of training camp with Alan Belcher, I snapped my ankle.
Oh my
I
God.
went in on a shot on for I was training in Montreal. I shot on Faraz Zahabi. He sprawled. I rolled my ankle over and I did what's called an avulsion fracture. It's when the tendon pulls off a piece of the bone. And I was kind of arrogant. I thought, man, that's okay. I'm just gonna rehab it and keep fighting. And I took the fight anyways with Belcher. I thought I was gonna smash him. And I basically all I did is rehab, assault bike, because I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't put any weight on the ankle. Maybe the last 2 weeks I did some boxing. That's it. So I came into the fight unprepared, and Belcher was not a guy that you could fight unprepared. Even though I thought it was okay, and I lost that fight. But you know what? When my first fights in UFC, what I remember was the difference with the crowd. A lot of people don't talk about that coming from fighting in Japan where the crowd was silent, almost respectful when you walk out, coming into UFC and you hear, Ken, you're going down, you gotta lose, or just a whole crowd yelling. It's very different. It's very different. And if you haven't felt it before, or if you felt it, but the last bunch of fights you've been used to something completely different, to me it completely threw me off. I remember being in the cage and I couldn't hear anything but the crowd yelling. I couldn't hear my corner. I couldn't hear the other, nothing, you know?
Yeah,
So it
people
was
don't
just,
understand the first time you fight in the UFC, it can be a really overwhelming experience.
very overwhelming. That's
I
exactly the right word.
I've
Yeah.
had guys in the back and they have the monitor and they're looking at it and then like it starts to hit them like, wait a minute, I'm going to be on that monitor in a
Yeah.
few minutes. And you can like feel the energy, like the crowd, they're so big, like you feel it, like
Yeah.
it's in your chest, the roar of the
Right.
crowd. You
You're
see a
right.
guy get knocked down and then you hear it echoing down the hallway and then
Yeah.
you're like, oh shit, I'm next. It's literally you're a gladiator in the arena kind of feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Right.
yeah, if you've never had anything like that, it could make a really strong guy have weak legs. And
That's
then you
right.
go in there. I had one of my guys, Hamdi, he fought 12 days notice, makes his UFC debut in Dallas. The first time he sees the octagon was walking to it. They didn't have it up on the weigh-in day and he never saw it. So literally he walks out and goes into it for the first time to fight. And he's hearing Joe Rogan in DC on the side talking. And then Bruce Buffer calls his name and he's just like, oh my
Holy
God,
sh-
this is really happening now. This is insane. And then he had a
Yeah.
like wild fight, but he came out like a bat out of hell because he was just like, oh, and then just let it all go. But yeah, it's really wild if you haven't done it. I mean, I've taken the walk a lot of times and I get, the hair on my arm goes up. I get goosebumps every time I take the
Yeah.
walk. It's truly a unique experience.
Yeah. I find also like the things that happen a couple days before the UFC, like the weight checks, the poster signings, all that stuff, the pictures, the interviews, it moves a little faster than with other organizations, I find. I find I when I was with UFC, I found like I never caught my rhythm or my footing with being with the organization. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
No, it
looking
does.
back on it now, yeah.
There's definitely a pacing to it all.
Yeah,
And
that's it. Basic.
every show has a kind of a unique pace and the more you do it, the more you get used to it. Um you were in the UFC in an era too. What were we talking about? 6 shows a year maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
And
Maybe I
now we're
don't.
talking about what, 44?
Yeah, almost every weekend. There was a
It's
UFC last night. I didn't even know. Like I missed it.
Yeah, the main event last night was really good,
I
actually.
heard the Ritter middleweight, man, is my weight
No,
class.
the
I can get.
the, the main event was Fluffy versus RoboCop.
Oh shit. Oh yeah. I saw the finish. Man, RoboCop, what a beast.
What a beast!
Man.
That was a great
How
fight.
old is that guy? He's older, right?
Yo, he's only like 34 years old. He looks like he's
Okay.
100.
Yeah, he does look older.
Some of these Brazilians, I swear they're not telling the truth
They
about
don't
their
age
age.
well. Yeah.
But that was yeah, when we're looking at the volume of the fights now, I think too when we had less fights, the star power was a little bit stronger because people lived with your name a little bit longer. When you
And you
were with
got
the
more
UFC, what
excited
did
for
that
each
feel like?
individual card, right? Yeah.
What did it feel like for you in your era with the UFC in terms of the attention that you got? Did did that really up your profile in that moment?
Sorry, say it again.
Did your when you went to the UFC,
Yeah.
did that up your profile in that moment? Where you
Oh
did you
yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, and you know what? Actually, like we say how much bigger Pride was at the time, but by the time I went to UFC, well, Pride was gone, and UFC was really starting to get famous. Like when I was in Pride, yeah, okay. The people, if you were into MMA, you knew, and yeah, I was bigger, but I still had to explain it to a lot of people about what it was I did fighting all the way in Japan,
that was my
But with
joke about
UFC,
Pride.
sorry?
You were world famous in Japan, but with
Yeah.
the UFC, you're actually world famous.
Yeah, and in North America, everybody knew it, and it was a lot more accessible because everybody can watch UFC, right? Pride, you had to watch it either at like 4 a.m. or find some obscure site on the internet to watch it on, right? UFC was much easier. You could watch it at a bar. So there was that. Yeah, more accessible to people, I guess.
Ring versus cage. What was that like for you?
Um, I don't know. I like both. It was never that much of a factor. I definitely fought more in rings. But I did fight in cages a bunch also.
Did
And
it change
now
your style?
it's, yeah, I guess a little bit more grapple heavy in a cage, especially going up against the fence. And the ring in Pride, the ropes are really stiff and they're
Yes.
really high. So it's almost like a cage. It's not a cage, but it's definitely different than like the cheap local shows with those loose red and blue ropes, like they're like elastics basically. The ropes in Japan are really tight, either really
They're
tight
like
ropes
steel
covered by
bands.
garden hose, or they're steel cables again covered by garden hose, right?
Now,
Wing.
how was it going from you can't throw elbows in Pride, you can throw elbows in the UFC, you can soccer kick and knee to the head in Pride, but you can't do that in the UFC. What's that mentally like for you when you made the shift? When you're first going to the UFC, did you really have to be conscious of the rules? And did you get hit with an elbow and go, "Oh shit, this is different"?
Um, Yeah, it wasn't that big of a deal, to be honest. No, because remember, like, even though I was fighting in Pride, I would still train with people that were fighting in UFC. So I was still exposed to it in training.
So
I
you were
always
able
still
to like
practice. Yeah,
flip a switch like, "Okay, I'm going to fight this
yeah,
way now. I'm going to fight
yeah,
that way now."
yeah. And I always practice my elbows and ground and pound on the ground, always. The ground and pound training was a big thing for me, and I always incorporated elbows,
Do
even though
you
I wouldn't use them that much.
do you think having the different rules that you have that kind of switch did that make you a better fighter overall?
Well, definitely like exposed me to like a broader skill set, I would say, you know?
And the
Yeah,
ability
for
to
sure.
control those skill sets,
Yeah,
you're more
yeah,
intentional, I would say, with your work.
that's right. And then remember in Pride, the fights were judged a little differently. They were judged as a whole, instead of round per round. You know what I mean? So that made it a little bit different. I think, and because that first round was 10 minutes, they would let you keep going a little bit longer as opposed to standing you up a lot more. Whereas in UFC, yeah, they stand you up. Like, you know what? Another thing I remember in UFC, Dan Mergliotta was the ref for my fight. As soon as we hit the ground, you gotta work. Like I worked hard taking him down, man. Let me rest. Like, no, you gotta work. I'm like, holy shit, we're gonna get stood up. So I start working harder and it makes me more tired. Like, oh dude, that's definitely something I didn't like is Mirgliotta just stressing me out in that fight. I did
Pressure,
not like
man.
his style of reffing. I don't know the guy, what he's like personally. I didn't like his style of
He's a
wrestling.
Jersey
But
guy too.
is he?
You want to
Oh,
know it's crazy? We have a curse. I personally have never won a fight with him as the ref,
oh,
and
really?
I've never had a fighter win a fight with him as the ref. And every fight we've lost is always weird. I had Deanna Bennett dominating Liz Carmouche in Bellator. There's
Yeah.
like 10 seconds left. Her hamstring pops off the bone,
Oh,
and they stop the fight.
her
Like,
hamstring popped off the bone?
yes, ripped right off her pelvis. They had to staple that
Oh,
shit back on. That was 9 months of recovery.
damn, that's a
Can you
battle.
imagine that? She goes in for a double leg, powers through, and her hamstring just rips off the bone.
Never even heard of that. Oh,
Dominating the fight, is going to win the fight
yeah,
against the pound for pound number one in Bellator.
that's insane.
And that happens. And I was like, fucking Dan. And then I even had another one. I had a
At the
guy who was fighting
Masters.
Glover Teixeira in Brooklyn. Dan's the ref. We drop him. We drop Glover.
Yeah.
Glover's out.
Who was your guy?
Carl Roberson.
Okay, okay.
Carl Roberson drops an elbow on him, puts him out, hits him again. He wakes back up. He hits him again. He puts him out. He hits him again. And then he breaks his elbow on his head. And then he can't defend. And then Glover kind of wakes up, drives through on a double leg. Carl can't post up because his arm is all jacked up. Can't really defend and ends up getting
Glover's
choked out.
durable. It was durable. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, Dan Merigliotta. And so now, like, literally, whenever we go to a big show and Dan's there, I'm always like looking at the roll call. I'm like, please don't have him. Please don't have him. Please don't have him. It's like a curse. I got to take him to dinner or something. He lives by me. I'm going to take him out. We've got to like kill this curse. Like, this is ridiculous.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, it's so funny. Did you ever have any weird superstitions or anything that if you
Yeah.
saw would kind of freak you out?
Well, if it's not a superstition, but if you watch my fights in Pride, especially when the ref is like, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" I'm getting ready to go out, and you see my eyes are blinking. I'm doing this all the time. You'll watch. You'll see. You'll see. People kept asking me. It's because I was, for some reason in my head, I thought I didn't want to. I didn't want to go out and blink at the wrong moment, right when he was throwing a punch. So I was trying to blink as much as I could, so I could get out there and have my eyes wide open and then have better vision. Yeah, watch my fights. You'll see. You'll see me
Oh
do it.
my God, that's a funny one.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like when you walk into that ring or you get locked in that cage, it's really strange the things that we can we can
Oh
find
man,
important
you
at
know what would
times.
happen to me as soon as the ref would kind of bring you to the middle. You had to shake hands with, like, my senses were heightened. I could see, like, I'm trying to look in my opponent's eyes. I'm looking down at his chest. I could see the hairs on his chest, the scars. I smell his fucking deodorant and his BO. When we get taken down, I can see the pattern of the canvas on the floor. I can see the tape on his glove. Like, all these little things were just like popping out at me where I would never see that normally. I think it's just the adrenaline, probably, that, like, the something happening inside of me, some physiological response to the combat, right?
I think that's one of the gifts of doing hard things is to be able to have moments where you're so locked in.
Yeah.
You're truly alive in those moments. Like you're looking at everything very differently. And it's funny the thoughts that go through your head because you even said it like, you thought you were going to die. You do kind of get to a point where you don't care because you're so locked in. And that's a
Here's
gift.
another thing. You asked me about the superstitions. I didn't like to make plans after my fights because to me, I wanted it to feel like it was the last day of my life.
The Spartan warriors, their whole thing was they would get everything in order. They would get their whole life in order. They would say whatever had to be said. They would pay off all their debts. They would clean up their house. And they would march off into battle, and they would approach battle as if they were going to die. And they said that by freeing themselves of any future obligations, they were more free to act in the moment. So I think you tapped into a little bit of that Spartan ethos there.
100%. 100%.
So when you're working with people now, are you really are you structurally applying this so that you can help young athletes progress faster and not run into the pitfalls that you did when you were trying to figure it out? Because you're talking about you came up in a hit or miss era, which is obvious.
Right.
I understand that very well. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
We figured it out as we went. But now we have the ability to say, like you were saying, it's like, I've already been where you're going. So,
Yeah.
pay attention. So, how much of that for you, I mean, does this make you feel like your life has kind of come full circle? Is this where the purpose and the passion of the sport remains?
Yeah. It's definitely it's a passion, and I feel like it's my purpose. Like I'm happy to do it every day. I'm grateful that I get to do what I love every day, you know. And even though sometimes, especially like at the end of the week, I'm tired, it's hard, but I'm like, it's better than having to do construction or some kind of other hard job. I'm lucky that I do what I love, because there's other fighters who don't like coaching. They don't have the patience for it, or they're just not that type. Some fighters just get by on being athletic and having good instincts for fighting. They don't know why they did that arm bar or that left hook or move that way. I was the opposite. I loved all the techniques and the finer points of training. So it all kind of stayed in my head. You know what I mean? So it was a natural gravitation for me once the competitive fighting was done.
How long did it take for you to start coaching? Were you coaching at the end of your career, or was there a period of time where you look at it and you're like, okay, I'm done, and then you come back to it? So how do you get involved in coaching?
I was already. Let me see. Hold on. I was already kind of doing it on the side. You know what? No, I've always kind of taught on the side a little bit, but I never did it full time until yeah, I really until the last 2 years. So I had my last fight in 2012. So maybe around 2010, 11, 12 is when I started to teach a little bit more, a little bit more, and then after I had to be fair, after I had my last fight, there was like a transition period where I thought that I was naturally burnt out from the sports, and people around me convinced me that I had to do something else than MMA. Oh, you've done enough. You don't need to do this anymore. You've trained enough, Dennis. You've trained enough for a lifetime. You don't need to do this. You need to explore other things in life and balance your life. And I tried to get some kind of job and learn how to become a fiber optic installer. And it was the most miserable time of my life, to be
Oh my
honest.
God, I can't
Yeah, it
imagine
was.
that. I
All
can't
I
even
wanted
see
to
you
do was
doing that.
train. No, I know. And then when I was back to training, it was, man, I felt such a relief just to just to be able to talk about it and be something where I had credentials and I had done
Well,
something.
you have
You know?
value, man. You have
Yeah,
value. You
exactly,
have a real
exactly.
value.
Value. Yeah,
You have experience that a very, very small group of people have. And
that's it.
there is a whole new generation of people that need to benefit from that experience. Everything's building upon what was done prior. And I look at you as one of those guys that you're one of the pillars that MMA today is being propped up upon. You guys were like the first people to land on the moon. You guys went and did this
Wow.
crazy thing that nobody else did.
Yeah.
So, I feel like, anybody that has the opportunity to benefit from that experience, it's great. And I mean, for me, I'm like, who would hold you back from sharing that experience? But when you
Man, yeah.
ended, what was it really definitive for you where you're like, okay, this is going to be my last fight? Did you know going in, or was there a moment after a fight where you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore?
No, I going in, I didn't know, but I should have known. The last, you know what? The last like year of my career, I think I was just super concussed, to be honest. Um, I don't know how people around me well, they wouldn't have known, I guess, but like I was so like the I go from being the top dog in the gym at TriStar, sparring at my weight class, anyways, sharp and sparring and everything, to just, I could barely spar with like beginners in the evening class. I lost, I lost like the my sense of distance and timing. I just couldn't get it, and I
I
think that
call the
was the
I call that the
concussion.
dirty glass effect. When you're dealing with a concussion, it's like you're looking through dirty glass. You see it, but it's just not.
Yeah,
You're just a little bit off, and
yeah,
like you can perform, but yeah, you're just not connecting the dots fully, and then you're getting hit a little bit more, and then it really starts to pile up. Man,
yeah.
that's a
It
bad
did.
one.
I just thought that I was just getting old, maybe, you know. But here's the thing: I had my last fight. I fought Melvin Manoff. I lost, barely trained for it. The only fight where I didn't make weight. Well, I made weight eventually, but the only fight where I missed weight right away. Yeah, and then I made weight eventually. But and I had that fight. I took like a year off of sparring, and when I came back, I felt great. I felt like I could have fought again. You know what I mean? I felt like the old me essentially. I was moving around punches.
That's
I don't know.
that.
Somehow the concussion threw off my cognitive sense. You know, I don't know if it was my vision or my sense of distance. It was, and it made me super punchy, super, because I couldn't tell when punches were gonna come.
Yeah, and then
It
they
was
and then you're getting hit more than normal, and you're already dealing with
way
brain
more.
trauma, and it's adding up. It's the worst. So
Yeah.
you come back, okay? So you're not fighting anymore, and you come back, and you're starting to feel better. Did you get that itch again?
Yes and no. I knew I was done. I didn't want that to happen again, basically. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, that was because also so yeah, there was that. There was like the concussion part, but that was, I would say that's more like a mental part, but there was also the physical part was adding up. Like my hip was getting pretty bad, my left hip. And I ended up having to get a hip replacement in 2017 later on because it got even worse. But yeah.
It's such a crazy thing because it's like a cruel mistress. It like always whispers, like, come on back." But then
Like my brother said, he says, "You give so much love to the game, but the game doesn't give you that much love back."
no, not at
No,
all. And that's why I feel I the biggest thing that I try and preach to people is don't lose your humanity in the process of trying to become a
right,
fighter,
right,
because this career is going to end when it wants to end. It's not when you want to. It's when it wants to. It's when your
yeah,
body breaks, when they don't want to book you
yeah,
anymore, whatever. You're going
yeah.
to want to fight forever, but there's going to be a time where you know you just can't anymore, and the sport kind of doesn't accept you, and you're just left with the relationships that you maintained over all these years and the things that you acquired that are worth holding on to. You know, so many
That's exactly
people,
it.
they
Your
burn
legacy is
so many
really,
bridges
yeah,
in this life, in this fight
yeah,
life, because they want to be famous, they want to be champ, they want to be whatever, and they think there's like another level of things. There's really not. There's really not. There's your real friends, there's your real family, there's the real things that you've got, and you can't lose it. You shouldn't do your best to hold on to those things
right.
through all this. I mean,
That's
you're
right.
talking about your brother. I mean, I know so many fighters, their family doesn't talk to them because of the way they navigated their careers. I mean, to be
I
able to
can
sit
see.
here and say like, "Hey, my brother and I had a talk of value about my career," is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, my good friend Bill Mahood, he retired a little bit before me, and he had a hard time also, but he got through it. And he told me, he said, "You have to make peace that MMA or fighting, competitive fighting, is something you do. It doesn't have to be who you are. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's something you did, but it's like once you stop, doesn't mean that your life stops. Also,
Yeah,
right?
my wife and kids saved my life. If I didn't, I met my wife when I was 34.
Yeah,
We had our first kid when I was 39 or 40. I had stopped fighting at 40. And then we had a second one at 45. And having the gift of being able to take care of other people really is what
that's it.
allowed me to move beyond the importance of this weird fight life. These wins and losses, they matter. I don't even know. Like it's weird. Like the math on this is personal. You know, it all adds up differently, but you got to look at more of like what's the cost of it all. You know,
You're
if you
right.
like where you are now, it was all worth it. If you
Yeah,
have good people still around you, it's all worth it.
yeah,
But you know, a lot of guys do have to look a little bit longer with how they're approaching their careers. I see a lot of guys, and it's like you're not going to be 25 forever, man. You're going to be 55 one day.
I know.
And
you
that's the
know.
hardest part as a coach is trying to get that message across. I'm 52 years old. So, but I got young kids, which helps me. I've got a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old. That's like my grounding force in life.
That'll age you, but that'll keep you young also.
Yeah.
Right?
My hair was not gray when I met my wife. Like I'm white as could be now because of my kids. I had a football game this morning. I had to get up at 6:30 this morning to make football with my 8-year-old. He's playing
Yeah.
tackle, but I'm
Oh, they let him tackle at 8 years old, eh?
yeah, my kid started last year at 7. My youngest does tackle. Now he wants to wrestle. He does jujitsu and he does kickboxing. He actually won WK Nationals last year at like 7 years
That's
old, which is
cool.
really wild. What's cool is they have a no head contact division for the 7-year-olds. So they do kickboxing without hitting each other in the head, which I'm all about. And then my
Yeah, of
13-year-old,
course.
he does it. He trains. He comes to the gym with me every day. He loves the business. He has an account called Brian the Interviewer. Where he interviews fighters, and he's like friends with John Jones and Mike Perry and stuff.
Oh,
And
way.
yeah, so like I commentate for a show called Dirty Boxing. Have you seen that?
No, I don't think so.
So dirty boxing, it's boxing with MMA gloves on, and they can elbow.
Oh,
And
wow.
if you knock them
Sounds fun
down, you have
FC, I
5 seconds to keep hitting. Look it up. It's called DBX. And John Jones and Mike Perry are kind of the faces of it in terms of like co-owners. I do. I'm an on-air analyst for them. But
It
when I
happens in
first started,
Jersey?
I'm sorry.
It happens in New Jersey?
No, it's all over the country.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty big show now. We did Houston,
Called EPX, you said?
DBX.
EBX, okay.
But we did
Dirty
Houston,
boxing.
Nashville, Miami. Like we've been all over the country with it. And my son started coming with me and he started interviewing the fighters and he's starting his own thing. My son's like a supercomputer with fight statistics. He's obsessed with combat sports. It's really
Right.
funny. So I've made it a family affair for myself, which has been great. So that's the thing that kept me going. And again, it was my wife and my kids that really got it for me when it was over, that I had something to live for and I had that purpose. And I love all the guys and I love training and I love coaching and doing my thing. But, like you said, that's the job, but my life is my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you, what's, what's like the vision for you now? You have this team, you have all this experience. Like what's the 5-year vision for Dennis Kang, the coach?
Well, I mean, I would love to bring guys to to the highest level like UFC right now. But honestly, it's there is no 5-year plan. It's just day by day, just coaching, making them better, It's hard to find that one fighter that's gonna have the perseverance to make it to the top. You can find a lot of guys where all the stars align at the beginning, all the signs point that they're gonna be the one. They have the skill, they have the mental fortitude, but something will happen, and sometimes it's the unlikeliest person who will surprise you and go further than the others. Um, so yeah, that's it. Just day by day, working on my craft, trying to pay attention to the trends in the game, and passing on my knowledge and learning as much as I can. Like my fighters, my jujitsu students teach me every day. They're amazing. So I feel very blessed.
I love to hear that because you and I think a lot alike the way you're speaking about the sport. I think a lot of it's because of the time in which we came up, and I also was a lifelong martial artist from a little kid, which sounds like you were too. I watched the same movies you did.
Yeah.
We came up in a unique time. Guys that are coming up now that only see like UFC is the karate of the day. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
it.
this
The
is the
ninjas of the
culture.
day.
This
Yeah.
is the everything. We're seeing MMA movies. I mean, I have kids that joined the gym 10 years ago because they watched Never Back Down, like it wasn't the Karate Kid. It was Never Back Down. And now my son
That's Van
watches,
Damme's first movies, right? Oh no, Never Back Down was the MMA movie,
that
right?
was the MMA movie.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, like that was different. We have like the steroided out 80s superstars that inspired us, but different times. But yeah, it's to have a historical grounding experience that we can provide to what people see is just the thing now, because they only see what they see, and they have to understand that there was a history before that, and there were people that did things that led to this happening. So I hope your story actually gets to be told more, and more deeply, and you get to keep sharing with these guys. And I do look forward to seeing what does come out of your gym, whether it's just good people or better fighters or whatnot, and to see if to see the impact that your history has on people.
Right. Right now, I have one name I want you to look out for. It's Radley De Silva. He's had his fight on Contender Series already, which he won, but they didn't pick him. But he's very close. He's probably 1 or 2 fights away. I think he's ready now to make it to UFC. But he at 145, 155, he is gonna make some noise. Mark my words.
Did you go to Contender with him?
No, I didn't. No.
Have you Contender? I've had 4 guys on Contender Series. The first 4 seasons, I had people on that.
Yeah.
That is the worst job interview of all time. It is so difficult. Now it's different with the Apex. They have, I think, 3,000 seats in the Apex right now. So it feels more like a fight. Season 1, Carl Roberson went on the Contender Series. There's no one it was in the Ultimate Fighter house.
Yeah.
And no crowd. You hear the floorboards.
I heard that. I heard it's
oh
soulless,
my God.
people say, yeah.
It was just like, I've never been so stressed out for a fight in my life.
Basically like a reality show taping, right? Like
with your future on the line. You've got Dana sitting 5 feet away from you with the 2 matchmakers. So you got Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard, Dana sitting there. And then for some weird reason, Anthony Kiedis is like right there as well.
No way.
Yes. And then Snoop Dogg is in like a truck out back.
I hear he's super short, Anthony Kiedis.
Super short, super skinny. A little creepy, to be honest, but but it's like you go in there and it's just like this whole surreal experience, and you go in and your job's on the line. Like you feel like you're never going to get a shot in the UFC again. So the fighters are carrying like all this weight, they're sweating it out, and they go out there and they do this thing. It's really wild. Contender Series is rough, and then oh my God, to win and not get picked. I mean, what's the mental state? What's the mental state after that?
This is what I told him. It would have been worse if he would have lost and not get picked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least it was a win. And the guy that he beat is pretty good and still doing really good now, George Mangos. So, it's it is what it is. He's got another. He's had one fight since then, which he won by knockout, and he's fighting again this Thursday, the 27th, here in Vancouver. So
nice. It's so hard to tell a young fighter like that too. Sometimes not getting picked is the best thing that could happen, because sometimes you get picked early to go into the league and you may not be fully there yet. So getting a couple more fights, having that contender experience, if you get the call, you're going to appreciate it that much more, and you're going to be more prepared. So you're going to have a better chance of surviving that first contract and getting to a second or a third.
The longer you wait, the better you'll be when you do get there, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. All these guys rush to get there. They have 750 something guys on roster, but it probably takes 1,500 fighters to keep that.
700. Wow. It's a lot of guys.
I mean, you're doing 44 shows a year with 23, 24 guys a night.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The volume that they've got to keep up. That's why it's just, the path to get there, I think it's more clear. I'm not going to say it's easier. It's not easy to get into the UFC. It's not easy to get on Contender. But with the amount of shows that they're running, they need more guys. So you're going to get more opportunities.
The way you said it is right. It's a clearer path, right?
Yeah.
And especially with social media nowadays, like it's way easier to build your brand and to build awareness to your name, and just because by the time you make it, who knows, Sean Shelby, Dana White might have caught a glimpse of you on the internet, on Instagram somewhere, So
and if you have the right manager, I mean, what is it? 80% of the roster is represented by only like 4 agencies. I mean, so if you're playing the game properly and you get the right manager and you've got the right following, you're going to get on Contender, and they're going to know you're coming, and they're going to be looking for you. You do have to play the game. It is a game. I mean, I don't love that aspect of it. I think there are a lot of good fighters that don't get attention because they don't know there's a game to be played, but it is what it is. It's always that way. It's the fight business, man. We know how the fight business goes.
That's it.
So do you still have connections with ATT?
Yeah, I mean, I still talk to a couple of the guys there all the time. You know, yeah,
And did you end
absolutely.
with TriStar or with ATT?
I was a TriStar then. Yeah, I had some visa issues. That's why I had to leave American Top Team and the States. But I've gone back since. You know what I mean? I didn't leave on bad terms. I've
Yeah,
always
but you
been.
had those are two amazing connections. I
Yeah,
mean, Faraz Hobby runs a great shop, and
yeah,
ATT is what it is. I
yeah.
mean, so you clearly have an easy pipeline if you got to get work for your guys as they're coming up.
Oh yeah, easy, easy. Especially in Canada, just in Canada alone, Montreal. A lot of guys go there to to do training camps and just to kind of brush up on their skills. Now that they have dorms and stuff like that, it's a much easier, right?
Yeah, man,
So
you've got the experience, you've got the connections, the opportunities are there. So
yeah,
I think coming out of that west coast of Canada, I mean, I won't be surprised if we start to see you with more people popping up in these things.
I'm trying, man. I'm putting everything into it all day, every day. This is all I do, all I think about.
Well,
You
if you
know.
ever come East Coast, you ever come to New York, you got to come and see us.
Oh, I'd love to. Where are you in New Jersey exactly?
I'm right on the Jersey coast. I'm right by Asbury Park. A lot of people know Asbury Park because that's like the home of Bruce Springsteen and all that stuff. But
Oh, okay.
I'm like so I'm basically an hour south of New York on the Jersey shoreline. So yeah, I'm
Okay.
like
What's the name of your school?
my school is Killer Bee Combat Sports Academy.
Killer Bee. Okay, okay.
Yeah, we're Killer Bee here in New
Nice.
Jersey. So look, man, it's getting late here. I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
really, really appreciate you making the time to hop on.
Me too. I appreciate you accommodating the time difference. I know you guys are 3 hours ahead.
It's all
So
good, man. This
let's go, man.
conversation's one I've wanted to have for a while. Like I said, I feel like you're one of the guys that landed on the moon in this sport, and I would love to have your story continue to be told, and the different aspects of it, so that a lot of these guys in the sport today could appreciate what they have now compared to what it was, and
Sure.
just be able to benefit from your experience.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and then let me know if you ever want to have me back on, or if maybe like you want to do a post fight analysis on
100%.
certain UFCs. That would be fun. I'd love to do
100%.
something like
Yeah, we talk about it all the time.
that.
Honestly, you got to meet Brian, the interviewer, my son, he hit me with like a whole list of questions. I was like, you know what? You save your questions and you could ask them yourself. So yeah, you got to hop on with my
Yeah.
son one of these days, and
Sure, sure.
we'll hop on a round table and talk about the fights. You should look up DBX2. 100% look up Dirty Boxing. I think you would find that really fun and interesting as an event.
Well,
Um, yeah, Dennis Kang, I'm really glad we connected. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Your history brought back so many memories. I mean, Jesus, just saying Super Brawl with like my brain just like exploded. I haven't thought of that
do you
in
remember Ring of Fury out of Boston?
oh my God, that's another one. You're like it's like another part of my brain pops open when you say some of these
The hook and
names.
shoot days. That was the hook and shoot days. Remember that?
Yes, the hook and
Hook and
shoot
shoot.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember Ring of Fire in Denver?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
Sven
Never
Bean's
fought for him, but I
promotion. That
remember.
was the predecessor to LFA.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I used to go to that. And then we have in New Jersey, we have Ring of Combat with Lou Neglia. That was like the big
Yeah, I
feeder
remember
show.
Lou Neglia's Ring of Combats. I remember that.
Yeah, Lou's still around, still putting on
Is it?
shows, and we're still
Oh.
putting guys on it.
No, I was there. I told you I was there for CFFC for Felix Martinez.
Yeah,
I was there
Felix,
to corner.
he
Yeah,
was the original owner.
yeah, he was. Yeah, that's right. He's not anymore, obviously. Yes.
Yeah, they sold that off, and now they're part of the whole UFC Fight Pass thing and all that. It's a
Right.
different kind of show now. But yeah, they grew, they exploded. That was Rob Haydak and a partner bought that, and then they
Yeah.
really blew that up.
Oh yeah. When I was up there, I was cornering this guy from ATT fighting Camilo Morero, but on the card I think was Frankie Edgar, like whole bunch of young guys that weren't well known just yet.
Yeah, Frankie's like, the Rocky of New Jersey when it comes to
Yeah.
MMA.
Who is the
He
guy?
fought on all the local shows, and then,
Yeah.
he
Do you
did his
remember
thing.
Davidas Torres Efficus? He was tough.
Yes.
Tough out of that area.
Yes. He
He fought
got
WEC, I think.
he fought in he was on the IFL. He was in one of those teams.
Okay.
Remember that?
The
Yeah, I
IFL.
think he was on. Henzo's.
Was he on the Dragons
IFL.
or the Tigers?
He
Or
was
it
on the red
Pythons?
one, the ones that wore the red outfits. I think that was Henzo's team. He was on that. I was connected with Team Tompkins back then.
Oh,
other
okay.
Canadians.
Tompkins. Wow, yeah, a good friend of mine was, yeah.
Yeah,
Good
I used to drive up on a monthly basis. I used to go up to London, Ontario to train with him.
No way.
Yeah.
But his boys are still doing it good over there. Like,
yeah, man, Mark and them, yeah. Sam Stout, Mark, and Chris Horodecki, I think, is still in the mix up there. Yeah, they're doing their thing.
Yeah. They're doing good.
So cool. Funny. Yeah, it's a big world, but when it comes to that era of MMA, it's a small world. You remember TKO?
Of course, I fought for them.
That was the show, man.
Yeah.
That was like the little
UCC,
that was the little UFC.
Yeah. That's when I fought in that event with elbows to the head and knees at the same time. TKO.
I was there. I was there with a fighter when Dana hopped on the monitor and said, "George St. Pierre, welcome to the UFC."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're old, dude. We're old.
Yeah. I know, man. Hey, I like to call it classic. Classic and wise.
Yeah, I'm just old and broken at this point.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that too. That too.
All right, man. Let everybody know where they can follow you, follow your academy, any stuff you want to shout out, social, website, whatever. Throw it out there.
Yeah, you're in Vancouver. You want to come train? I'm at Pinnacle MMA in Richmond. You want to follow me on social media? Just hit up This is Dennis Kang on Instagram. That's it.
Awesome. All right. This is Brian Wright. You can get me on Brian Wright Official basically everywhere. You can follow Coach's Corner on YouTube, all of our clips on Instagram. Keep supporting people, and I'll keep bringing the guests on. Mr. Kang, again, I greatly appreciate it. I'm 100% going to take you up on more conversations. We'll definitely pick a card that we'll do a breakdown on, and
Sure.
I'm going to connect you with Brian, the interviewer, so you can talk to my son. And it was a pleasure speaking to you. Everybody, this is...
Same here, Brian. Thank you.
Brian Wright, Coach's Corner. Peace.
Yeah.